Here's an example of a bill of material, a BOM. So let's say we are a factory, we're going to make N95 respirators for, let's say, 100,000 pieces to be shipped by that date. So each part, each material is listed like this, okay, with a description in English, maybe in Chinese, the unit and the price. Okay, so for example, these materials are typically bought by the ton, and so on. So here, the best is, let's say the MOQ from the supplier is 1 ton, then we would put 1 ton here. That's what makes sense. It's also important somewhere to have an idea of how many pieces we can make with 1 ton. Okay, I'm not going to go into these details here. Is there any tooling? What's the price, the lead time, who will own the tooling, for example. If it's the customer that's going to buy it, then make sure it's written somewhere. Samples also, maybe to get some samples, how is it, and so on. The supplier name and contact person, phone number, email address, all of this is important. Payment terms also, okay, it depends. And then, okay, maybe the internal part number, or maybe this will appear after it's created in the ERP system. Again, this depends from one company to the other. Is there a drawing, a specification? Do we have a reference sample for each of these parts? An inspection checklist for the incoming QC, and so on. Now I'm going to go back to the left. New product introduction stage. So project scope definition, all of this is the very basic things about the which supplier will provide what component at what price, and so on. Then development and prototype. So we go into the more technical things to make sure we cross every T's and dot every I's, especially for critical parts. It's very important. Then if there's some tooling, what about the design for manufacturing from the supplier? Is it approved, and so on? Is the supplier in the approved vendor list? Then it goes typically into pilot production if it's a very new product, and then into mass production. Very important to track the engineering change requirements and the open issues, okay? And then sometimes also next steps and comments for better management. So this is an overview of a very simple BOM, just to give you a feel for what it looks like usually. And there's a lot of confidential information. There are a lot of suppliers sometimes don't want to share with their customers. Obviously the price, because then once you have the price of all the components, you know how much maybe the assembly and the margin represent in the total price. And also you have the full contact information and names and everything of the suppliers typically. So this is also often seen as really confidential information within a company. And it's also confidential versus the competitors, right? Because nobody wants the competitors to have your own bill of materials. So I hope that's helpful. That's it for this topic.